Good afternoon and welcome to H360 Live. My name is Dave Duplay and I'm joined here in the studio this afternoon by my friend and colleague, Miss Courtland Long. Courtland, it's great to see you.
Good to see you too, Dave.
So we are in the holiday week.
Oh, yes.
And you're going to be leaving to go home. Are you all ready?
I'm getting ready. I still have a few more things to do, but I am so excited to go home.
And do tell.
Well, you know, I'll be sad, of course, to be missing out from my Healthy h360 family, but my family back home in Illinois, we have a brand new addition, born just yesterday.
Wow, a boy, girl?
Boy, Carden Robert.
Very nice. So I'll bet Grandma and Grandpa are very, very pleased at this.
They're very excited, and so is the great-grandma.
Yes, and so is Aunt Courtland. I can tell you're beaming over here.
Yeah, I'm
I
pretty
can feel
excited.
the radiation off of your smile.
Okay, let's not make me cry, all right?
Well, that's great. Well, you know, best of luck, and
Thank
please
you.
give my best to your family when you get there.
I will, thank you.
Absolutely. We've got a great show for you today. We have Conor Daly coming into the studio in just a little bit. And you know, Courtland, we met Conor at one of the walks up at Riverbank State Park not long ago. Got to meet his family, and Conor is just an amazing guy. He was born with Tetralogy of Fallot. We're going to hear all about what that is and about how he's living with it. He's a star athlete, so all good things. But first, as you know, we got to jump into some health tips.
Yes, we have some great health tips today. And you know, because today's episode is all about the heart and heart health, we thought it would be an excellent opportunity to share some advice on how to take better care of your heart and possibly prevent a heart attack.
Absolutely, yeah. These tips are really, really important, and some of them are not going to be easy, especially this first one, but they are critically important. We've got three for you today. We hashtag real stories. Send us your questions. Tell us what you think of the show. Hashtag real stories to the right. We want to hear from you. So, Courtland, you've got the first health tip. I mentioned it wasn't going to be easy, but go ahead and tell us what it is.
Yes, well, tip number one is to quit smoking. Now, I know those of you out there who are smokers, I'm sure you're very tired of hearing time and time again, quit smoking, but this is very important. Not only are you more likely to develop heart disease, but you know, previously thought of as safer cigarettes, the e-cigarettes, have actually been linked to lung disease fairly recently. I know many of us have the anomaly story, you know, 90-year-old Aunt Gladys who smoked a pack a day for her entire life and didn't develop any sort of medical conditions, but really that is the exception to the rule and not the reason to start smoking or to continue smoking. Smoking is a very damaging, costly, and dangerous habit to those who are around you.
You know, Courtland, you're absolutely right. Everybody has an Aunt Gladys. I had one, you had one, you know, and that is the exception to the rule by far and away. Anybody that smokes, you know, a pack a day for 90 years. Now, you're so right. Now, I have to ask you, have you ever kissed an ashtray?
I have not.
Okay, well, that's what it's like to kiss a smoker. Honestly, it's really bad. So, you know, smoking is not only bad for your heart, it's bad for your lungs, it's bad for your gums, it's bad for your teeth, it's bad for your clothes. All the way around, it's no good. Not to mention the secondhand smoke that's caused by if you're riding in the car with somebody and the windows are up and they're smoking, you know, you're going to get that secondhand smoke. And Courtland, something that you brought to my attention recently is something called third-hand smoke. What's that?
Yeah, so third-hand smoke is really interesting. You know, if you are a smoker and you step outside to protect your family from the carcinogens and the toxins in cigarette smoke, it actually still is getting on your clothes and on your person. So when you go back inside and you hug your loved ones or you sit on an upholstered couch or sofa, those are then transferring over to your loved ones or to the fabric on your furniture, and it can still be very dangerous to your friends and family.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's third-hand smoke. Now, let's get to the cost side of this, because this is the amazing part. I'm not a smoker. I don't know what it costs to smoke, but let's just assume, because, you know, Uncle Sam has to take his bite out of the action. So let's assume that it costs for a pack of cigarettes $20. And you're smoking a pack a day, right? So that's 7 packs a week times $20. That's $140 a week if my math is correct. I'm not an accountant. We've got somebody on the team, Timmy, he's the accountant. But I would say $140 a week. Now imagine if you took that $140 and put that into an IRA or a money market account or something for your nest egg, for your retirement, what you'd have at the end of that. It's amazing, right?
Yeah, it would be quite the pretty penny.
Yeah, so not only bad for your health, very costly, and the big cities are really driving smokers out, I have to say.
They are driving smokers out. However, I do want to emphasize, if you are a smoker and you stop smoking today, your body can start to repair itself. So we're not trying to be all doomsday over here. Stop smoking and your body can try to start to repair itself.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to tell you, I don't know if I mentioned this, my dad was a smoker.
You did tell me that, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And, what was interesting was one day he's coming home from work and he throws his pack of cigarettes out the window, and that was it. So, and that was, gosh, 20-some, 30-some years ago.
Well, congratulations, Papa Duplay.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out goes to him for doing that. Okay, let's move on to the next warning sign. The next tip, actually, I got it mixed up here. The next tip is know the early warning signs, right? Shortness of breath, racing heart, kind of feels like you're sweating all the time, heart palpitations. If you feel those things, those are probably early warning signs. Now, only your doctor can know if those are early warning signs to what eventually could lead to a heart attack. So, I'm not a doctor, but you need to go see your doctor if you're experiencing one or more of those early warning signs.
Yes, you definitely need to speak with your doctor, and I encourage you to know the warning signs that are specific to each gender. So a lot of the warning signs that you spoke about, I believe, pertain to men, but the warning signs of heart attack for women are really quite different. How they present, you may not associate them with the heart. So sometimes women will experience acid indigestion, and if you're experiencing that quite often, you should definitely go talk to your doctor. If you have it every once in a while, don't go running for the hills, but do know the warning signs for men versus women.
Yeah, I so selfishly glossed over that, right?
It's okay.
You're absolutely 100% right. Know the early warning signs for your gender. As Courtland mentioned, the ones that I had mentioned are most prominent, presenting themselves in males. So a good point there, well taken. Last but not least, we have our third health tip here. And Courtland, what is that?
Well, the third tip is to learn CPR. Effective bystander CPR administered immediately after cardiac arrest can actually double or triple a patient's chances of survival. Now, hands-only CPR has made it easier than ever to try to save a life. If you don't know how to perform CPR right now, that's perfectly okay. There are plenty of places where you can find a class and learn how to do this. You can go to churches, schools, local community groups, even fire departments will often teach people how to learn CPR, and it's only like an evening out of your time, and then you get certified and you're good to go.
Yeah. Now, Courtland, I am CPR certified. Are you?
I am.
Now, I also know the Heimlich maneuver. How about you?
I do know it too. Thankfully, I haven't had to perform any of these on people.
Okay, I have not had to perform CPR. I have, I think, mentioned to you once before that I did give somebody the Heimlich maneuver and actually think I saved their life.
Yeah.
And so knowing these things, and you have to practice it, you have to get certified because honestly, the gentleman that I gave the Heimlich maneuver to was older and a little bit frail. And I think if I didn't know how to do it properly, I probably could have really hurt him.
You could have, but you did save his life, and that's wonderful.
I did, yeah, and I'm proud of that.
Yeah.
So, and you're spot on. It does not take long to get certified. You can go to your local church, civic center, fire department, school. So, and they're always advertising these classes. So it might be a night or two, get certified. The life that you could save could be a loved one.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So, Courtland, as you know, we always send our interns out into the field to Bryant Park to see exactly what our friends in New York know about our health tips, quit smoking, know the early warning signs, and learn CPR, right? So let's see what our friends from New York had to say about these health tips. But before we get into that, it's the holiday season. So I'm going to pour us a glass of eggnog, and then you and I can watch this video together. What do you say?
Awesome.
Okay. Twiggy, please roll the video.
What do you think about when it comes to smoking or using e-cigarette?
In terms of like health,
Yeah.
I don't know. I personally lung cancer runs in my family. So my family, we've always been very much against smoking. My parents obviously never allowed it when we were younger, and it was just knowing what I've seen it done to my family and the deaths it's caused. I'm really against it.
Okay.
I don't like smoking. I never have. I don't like it around me, so it's just as far away, the better.
I think it's very, you're paying to get cancer or to die faster. That's what I think about smoking or e-cigarettes. And it's it doesn't make any sense at all.
Oh, well, I've never really been a smoker, so, and none of my family do, so it's not really something I've thought about. I don't think I ever would smoke. I think e-cigarettes are probably better for people who are in the smoking habit.
Either way, it's probably not very good for you.
I think they're gross. I grew up in a family that doesn't really approve of that just because of all the health risks, so I've just kind of had the same impact, and in terms of meeting my friends, meeting my boyfriend, stuff like that, that's kind of a huge turnoff.
Okay. Do you know any of the warning signs for a heart attack?
I know that in men it's like a tingling in your left arm or something like that, and a tightness in your chest, but I hear that women just kind of feel a little bit off or something like that. There's different symptoms for women.
Shortness of breath. I think chest pains.
Okay.
That's what I know right now.
Well, if you have pain behind your ribs, and then also if you get fatigue often,
Okay.
that's another sign. Also, if you feel pain on your upper shoulder.
Pins and needles down the left side, I think, potentially. That might be a stroke, I'm not sure.
I believe, I know my dad has really high blood pressure, so we're always on high alert with him. There was a time a couple weeks ago where I know that I think it was his arm was starting, I think that may be a stroke, but there's just certain signs where I know that he had really high heart palpitations. So we all went kind of crazy over that, but I'm not necessarily sure about what the exact warning signs are.
No.
Have you or anyone you know performed CPR on someone?
I actually worked for the American Heart Association for a little bit, so I've never actually performed it in an instant where I needed to, but I've definitely am pretty much well versed in CPR.
No, I don't think so. Not that I know of.
Not that I know of, no.
I'm certified to perform CPR, but I've never had to. Yeah.
No, but my friend's taken a class in college.
Okay, well,
Does that count?
I was certified at one point. I've never performed it though.
How often do you self-evaluate yourself in terms of health reasons?
Only if something's bothering me.
Okay.
Not that often. I don't really self-examine myself properly. I just notice if anything's wrong, and then I go to the doctors obviously as well to see if anything's wrong every now and then.
Weekly.
Weekly?
Once a month.
Once a month?
Yeah.
Through my work, we have I guess semi-annual checkups that we're encouraged to do. So I participate in those, but that's twice a year, basically.
Probably not ever.
Not enough. I guess I do my regular checkups, but besides that, I'm not pretty good about actually paying attention to my body. I need to be better.
Well, Courtland, what do you think?
Well, it was a great video as always. It's encouraging to see that a lot of the New Yorkers we spoke with were not down with smoking. Many of them actually did know CPR, and some of them were certified. That's fantastic.
Yeah, how about the one girl? She said that, that lung cancer runs in her family, and so they're extra cautious and very concerned about, being around secondhand and thirdhand smoke.
Yep.
And that her father, I think she mentioned, also has high blood pressure, and so they're very, very in tune with some of these early warning signs.
Yes, a lot of these New Yorkers were in tune with the early warning signs, and that one girl in particular knew some of the differences between the signs for men and for women.
Yeah, that was really good. I'm surprised she mentioned that, right?
Yeah, that's great.
So all the way around, I think it was a great video. Our interns did a great job. Our friendly New Yorkers, as always, came through with some good information here for us. So Courtland, you know what time it is now, right?
It's our favorite time.
It is our favorite time of the show. We have Conor Daly in the studio with us. We're so excited to have him here. But before we jump into the Q&A, I just want to go over a few things. Conor calls himself 1 in 100. He's been diagnosed with Tetralogy of Fallot. We're going to hear all about that and how he's living with it. You know, nearly 1 in 100 babies, or about 1%, or 40,000 babies, are born every year with a heart defect in the U.S. alone. That's a pretty big number. Babies with Tetralogy of Fallot need heart surgery and lifelong medical care. CHDs need to be detected and diagnosed as early as possible, because we all know that early detection saves lives. And here's the most important thing: support is needed to fund the most promising research to advance the diagnostics, treatment, and prevention of CHDs in children. So Conor, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so it's so good to see you. The last time I saw you, we were up at Riverside.
Riverbank State Park.
There you go. See, I told you I'd bumble something up. That's where we were, right? And we saw you there. We were at Jackie's Walk. It was a great day. We were raising awareness. We were raising money. And all the way around, it was really a great and inspirational day.
Yeah, we've been going for the last 4 years, I think it is. Yeah, this year is a little rainy, but it's always a fun day. Good to be a part of it.
Yeah, I think we've been going for the last, 3 years, I believe,
have,
to her walk. So,
It's always fun.
It's always fun, and it's always great to raise awareness. And we have so many things we want to ask you here about sports and about Tetralogy of Fallot. So, Courtland, why don't we just jump right in?
Absolutely. Well, Conor, again, thank you so much for joining us. It's really a pleasure to see you again. And as Dave mentioned, you know, we saw you at the Congenital Heart Walk for the Children's Heart Foundation. So, you know, we know that you've had a very interesting, you know, growing up, and, you know, some scary moments in there. And we really want to hear all about your story. But before we get into that, can you share with our viewers a little bit about who you are today and what some of your goals are?
Well, I'm from Bayonne, New Jersey, and I've played a lot of sports. I've played baseball a long time. I used to play basketball, flag football, things like that. My goals, well, in terms of CHD, I want to be able to talk to kids like me and their families. Like, I didn't have anyone that had experience talking to me, and I think that would have helped a lot before I had the surgery. That's just something I'd like to do.
Well, that sounds wonderful. I know we have some plans later in the show to talk to you about that a little bit more, so we'll get into that too.
Yeah. So Conor, at a very young age, you're diagnosed with Tetralogy of Fallot. You know, how long did it take before your parents realized something was just not right? Was it right at birth, or was it shortly thereafter? Can you explain to us or tell us, you know, how that came about?
Well, when I was born with blue baby syndrome. So after that, they figured something was wrong, and I was born in Bayonne Hospital, and then they transferred me to Mount Sinai in New York to see a doctor.
So that was immediately. So you're born, and you don't even go home. So you're transferred from Bayonne.
Yeah.
And you come into New York to Mount Sinai, where you're going to get really expert care there at that institution.
Yeah, of course.
Conor, I'm sure a lot of our viewers are curious. Can you explain to everyone what exactly is Tetralogy of Fallot?
Okay, so there's 4 parts to it, and all of those parts lead up to the blood entering and leaving the heart to mix in with each other. That's not really what you want.
Yeah, okay.
So, you know, we hear all the time about these newborns kind of being whisked away, you know, for heart surgery right after they're born. And so you go into Mount Sinai, and what happens? Do they diagnose you with that right off the bat? They identify it, and they know. And then what do the coming days look like for you after that?
Well, they thought it was probably Tetralogy of Fallot, and then I was lucky. I got to wait 6 months before I had the surgery. My first open heart surgery, I was 6 months old, so I was a lot luckier than a lot of kids.
Yes, you definitely were very lucky. And you know, you're such an incredible young man. You know, you have this open heart surgery at 6 months of age. I cannot imagine that. You grew up to be this super active, healthy kid, all-star athlete, you know, baseball, basketball. Did you have to be really careful about playing sports as a kid? Like, how did your parents talk to you about some of these concerns that they may have had?
Well, they always told me, like, just take a break if you need to. You don't have to go 100 miles an hour all the time. So I was always careful. If I was out of breath, stop for a minute. I would always get tired faster than everyone else, but that's normal with the heart condition. So I just tried to pace myself a little bit more than everyone else and just try to play everything safe.
Now, for some reason, you don't strike me as a guy that's going to go 50%. So I'm sure you caused a lot of worry with your mother and father as you're growing up and they're watching you play sports because you're accelerating and you're doing very, very well, especially in baseball. But thinking back, in high school, to play a sport, you had to go and you saw your local doctor, you got a physical, you took your physical in and you showed it to the coach or the athletic director, which proved to them that, you were physically fit to play this sport. Did you have to do that? And how did you, I'm curious, how did you explain to the coaches about Tetralogy of Fallot?
Yeah, well, I gave him my forms and everything like that, and then at tryouts, I went up to the coach. I just tried to explain to him my situation, and he was understanding with it. He was fine with it. And all the coaches that I've had in my life are completely fine with it. They know everything about the situation, so.
Okay, and what about your team members? Were you compelled to share with your team members about your condition, and how do you explain that to them?
Well, yeah, the ones that I didn't know prior to high school, I wanted to explain it a little bit because I don't want them to think, oh, this guy's dogging it, things like that. So I just wanted to make sure they know that I'm doing everything I could, and if I need to take a break, I'm going to.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to piggyback off this a little bit. Did the doctors talk to you or your parents at all about things that you may need to look out for, throughout your life that would lead you to know that you need to come back to the doctor?
Yeah, whenever we go see my cardiologist, he has dizziness, shortness of breath, fainting, things like that. I'm lucky though, none of those things have come up.
Right.
He always mentions palpitations, that's never come up. So I'm really fortunate to not have to go back that often.
Right. Well, so you're going along, you get through junior high, you're in high school, fantastic baseball player, and then you start to notice a little bit of fatigue, is that right? So then did you go back to your cardiologist?
Yeah, I had a class on the 4th floor of one of my buildings and I couldn't do it.
Oh, wow.
So I had to get an elevator pass, and we went to the doctor. We figured that we'd probably do it soon, the surgery. So we did it in December of my freshman year. And then that was it, yeah.
So what went through your mind when your doctor told you that you would need to have open heart surgery?
I figured I need one at some point, I just didn't really know when. So nothing really stands out until like the week before. You start getting really nervous for it. But my family was great during the whole process, so it was easy.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So, an interesting thing about this condition and about, having a valve replaced, especially at 6 months old, one of the reasons I think is, from what I understand, for the subsequent surgeries is because they replace your valve, you're 6 months old, you're just a little guy, right? That valve is replaced, and they have to use a valve the size that your heart currently is. Now maybe they can expand it a little bit, but for the most part, the new valve has to be fitted to where you're at that point in life. Of course, then, you begin to grow, and then you really hit your growth spurts as you get older, and then your body grows and your heart grows, but that valve that was replaced doesn't grow.
Yeah.
That's the same size as it was when they put it in you, right?
Yep.
So now, your heart's growing, you probably have some leakage around there, you probably have some plaque buildup or whatnot, what's going on. And so that's really, I think, the reason. Am I correct for the subsequent surgeries?
Yeah, you're right. The goal is to make sure that the valve they put in is going to last a long time, but the average is kind of shaky, so it varies with different people, different conditions, but yeah, I think this one's going to last me a long time, so I still feel great 3 years later.
Yeah, and so as I understand it as well, there are a couple different types of valves that you can be, put inside of you. So there's a mechanical valve, right, which is what it is. It's man-made, right, and it works very similar to a normal valve. And then there's some animal valves.
Yeah.
And as I understand it from our discussion prior to going live on the show, it really is the time of the surgery that the surgeon has to make the decision which valve is going to be most appropriate for you.
Yeah.
And so when you woke up, what did you end up with?
I have a pig valve now.
A pig valve.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you're hoping that that's going to last you how many years?
Hopefully 10 more
10
from now.
more.
Yeah, you gotta trust the surgeon. We were in at New York Presbyterian, so it's hard not to trust them. They
Yeah.
know what they're doing.
Oh, they see a lot of this,
Yeah.
right? That's the good news. But then, 6 months after, or shortly thereafter your surgery, 3 short months after your surgery, you come in and all of a sudden you're the co-captain of the team,
Yeah,
right? How does that make you feel?
it just makes me smile a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to have pity on those guys that say, I sprained my thumb,
Yeah.
right? I can't, coach,
That's right.
coach. No, right? That
Yeah.
doesn't work that way.
That's
I mean,
right.
you have another open heart surgery, you get a new valve 3 months later, you're co-captain of the team. That's just a fantastic story.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you came back to playing sports after your open heart surgery, did you have to be really careful about protecting, your scar tissue or the incision area? What kind of precautions did you take?
Well, I always tried to be careful, even before the surgery.
Mm-hmm.
I always wore a chest protector when I played baseball. But other than that, I wasn't really worried about anything because I knew the doctors did a great job.
Yeah,
I felt fine, but I wasn't really worried.
that's good. That's the most important thing,
Yeah.
that you feel good.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Conor, we hear a lot of stories here at Healthy 360. And, one of the things that we hear all the time is the power of positivity. And in fact, there's been many studies done that would suggest that 40% of what it takes to get somebody through a very serious condition or major surgery is keeping a positive attitude. 40%, right? 60%, you had the best doctor, so you were
Yeah.
covered on that end. And you naturally seem to me like you're a very upbeat, very positive guy. Was there somebody in your life that was either a mentor or that really helped you keep a positive outlook on, your journey?
Well, my parents were always there. They were in the hospital with me. My sister came pretty often to see me. My grandparents came. They don't really like New York, and they came. That was exciting. And my friends, when I got home, I got to see them first time in a while. That's exciting.
Yeah.
So it was all that. And my teachers, things like that, they sent me letters, emails, all that stuff. So they kind of kept me positive throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, Conor, in the beginning of the show, you talked about wanting to be an ambassador, talking to kids who are going to have to go through open heart surgery. And we're almost out of time, so I definitely want to cover this with you. Is there a program that you have in mind that you're really interested in joining, or is this something that you kind of want to start up on your own?
I actually haven't really looked into the programs yet that are available. But anything where I could talk to kids and their families, like maybe before their surgery, after their surgery, just to kind of relax them a little bit and know that things are going to get better, things are all right.
Yeah.
Anything like that I'd really like to do.
I think so many kids would definitely benefit from talking to you about having to undergo open heart surgery, because look at you, you're such an amazing success story,
Yeah.
You're this awesome baseball player, you're about to graduate from high school, go on to college, it's
Yeah.
very exciting.
It is exciting.
So what's next? I think you've identified a college,
Yep.
right? So where do you plan to go?
Stevens Institute of Technology in Hoboken.
In Hoboken, New Jersey?
Yep.
Okay, and at the Stevens Institute of Technology, what are you going to study?
Business and technology.
Business and technology. Kind of fits into what we're doing here.
Certainly
Right?
does.
Technology
Yeah.
and business and in the healthcare space, which is something that you know all about.
Mm-hmm.
So we wish you all the best. We know that, anything you decide to do and put your mind to, you're going to be very successful. So I want to thank you so much for coming in and sharing your story with our viewers today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and look, stay in touch. We'd love to have you back on the show, follow up and see how you're getting along and see how that pig valve is doing for you. It's fascinating stuff to me.
I'll keep in touch, don't worry.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for coming in. I'd like to thank the viewers for tuning in, and I'd like to thank our sponsors for making this all possible. Remember, all of our episodes can be viewed on demand at healthyo360.com, and our podcast can be found in the iTunes store. Well, Courtland, I think you have something to share with us about social media?
Yes, I do. Healthy 360 loves social media, and we're all over Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest, and we use the hashtag #RealStories when posting. We'd greatly appreciate it if you would do the same. On behalf of Dave Duplay, myself, and the entire Healthy O360 family, we'd like to thank you all for joining us today. We hope you have a very happy holiday season, and we look forward to seeing you again next week when we're chatting with Elizabeth Duplay about managing student stress.
I never had so much love.